Now, on News Talk Radio 710 WOR, here's Donna Hanover.
Good morning. It is 7 minutes after 10. This is News Talk Radio 710 WOR. Joan Hamburg coming back tomorrow. And, most of you know that when I do the radio, I kick off my shoes and relax. And I want to tell you that my next guest in sympathy, in empathy, has just kicked off his shoes. And he is really a great guy. His name is Tom Avitabile. And the book is called The Eighth Day. Tom, this is your first novel, but I must tell you, it is awesome. I could not go to sleep last night because I couldn't put it down.
Can we quote that?
Yes, you can. You can absolutely quote it. You must be, I don't know, you have a natural talent. This book, let me just say to the guys in the audience, this book is full of testosterone. This is one that is not, this is not a chick flick book. This is a guy book. This is, well, tell us a little bit about the hero, because he's not just in this book. He's going to be in a series of books, at least a second one.
Well, that's the plan.
Okay, tell us a little bit more.
Interestingly enough, he's a guy who is going through life too focused on his career. And he sacrifices a lot of things in his life because of that, one of them being his marriage.
Yeah, that's right. He said, I got married, I checked the box, and now I don't have to pay attention to her. I got that part of the book.
Yeah. In fact, because he's a science guy, his wife says, you have a Bachelor of Science, you have a Bachelor of Methodology, you have a Bachelor in Physics, you have a Bachelor. You're not a Bachelor of Science. You're a husband of science, and you can't have two wives. So they start this relationship as being ex-husband, ex-wife.
And they're best friends.
And they're best friends. And they have dinner once a week.
And she actually helps him solve this amazing case that he gets involved in.
As he goes through his process, he goes from left brain to right brain, which is where she was always pushing him. And as he starts to really consider the human factor, as he starts to really open up, he starts to succeed.
Let's tell people what this is about. This is about what is feared to be a terrorist attack on a lot of fronts.
Right.
What are some of the main plot events that happen?
Well, we have a grandmother who derails a freight train that's carrying all kinds of liquids. We have a suburban mom who melts an acid factory by opening up spigots, and the whole factory dissolves like a souffle.
And she falls into the acid, too.
She falls into the acid, too, yeah. And we have a whole bunch of these kind of seemingly homegrown but not connected attacks that are happening and befuddling the nation. And the president's science advisor, our guy who's focusing too much on work, sticks his foot in his mouth because all of these attacks seem to have something to do with science. And he's in a meeting with the president. He's the national science advisor, which is normally somebody who's behind the scenes. And he sticks his foot in his mouth, and the president says, okay, you got it. He says, got what? He says, you got the investigation, which immediately makes him a target for all the, regular Justice Department entities like the FBI and the NSA. Suddenly they hate this guy because he's getting all the attention. So he's not only fighting the bad guys, he's fighting a lot of interagency rivalry, and they're out to get him. And they go after his personal life, and they try and smear him to the president. And so he's battling on two fronts. Meanwhile, the battle at home, or what used to be home, with his ex-wife, is another concurrent theme in the book. And when you mentioned about testosterone laced, I've gotten some emails from people who've read it, and a lot of women said, I understand my husband better.
Yes.
But the better email is, I understand my ex-husband.
That's sad. It's sad but
it's
true,
sad,
I think.
But they had to get it in my book.
I mean, for example, there's a lot of heroism in here.
Yes.
I mean, I don't want to give away a lot, but okay. I of course, read it, and so I know about, very tough agent who, shoots a guy to get information from him on the spot.
That is Brooke Burrell. She's an FBI agent, and it's the classic law case of the ticking bomb. And literally, it's going off, and she needs the information, so she perforates the man's leg.
And she says she's going to shoot him somewhere even worse.
Well, you can just imagine.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what kind of turns the tide.
It's all very believable, but that's the thing. You write great dialogue.
Oh, thank you.
And, I mean, how do you think up these, terrible terrorist possibilities?
Well, I think we all have that side to us to a certain degree. And I think I try not to go anywhere where I can't get back out of. In other words, inventiveness is part of what you go to a book for. You don't want to read the same thing over and over again. But in the dynamic of this book, a lot of it is based on my experiences. I did some work, adjunct work with the House Committee on Science, Space, and Technology in Washington, so a lot of the Washington insight comes from that. I've done a lot of science work, and I was a a nerd when I was growing up, so I can relate to that part of it. I built a computer when I was 14.
I know a lot about interagency rivalries and, being a journalist and having been in politics a little bit, and it was so true. What you wrote in here was just so realistic. The eighth day, what does the eighth day stand for?
Well, actually, in the Hebrew religion, it's the mandatory day of the bris, which I didn't know when we did it, but it actually relates to the ending of the book, which if I told you now,
so we don't want to.
Yeah, but it's a major part of the ending. The quote you mentioned, the interagency. The quote I was very happy to get from a really high placed government person really points to I think the timeliness of the book. And it's a bit of a cautionary tale aspect
this is
of the book.
The U.S. Ambassador Michael Skoll, who wrote, frighteningly realistic. Most of Washington really works this way. Homeland Security had better read this one and take corrective action. So Homeland Security can come in and see you today when you're doing a book signing, right?
I'm available for frisking.
Okay, Tom Avitabile. By the way, I do want to tell people that this is your first novel, but you are a senior creative director at a New York advertising firm. You've been a writer, director, producer with film and television credits, so you know what you're doing. This is just your first novel, and I have to tell you, this is awesome, and can't wait to read the second one.
I love the just your first novel. Donna, thank you so much.
My pleasure. Glad to have you with us. The book is called The Eighth Day. Tom Avitabile is the author, and he'll be signing books today at 100 Broadway. All right, the president going to be addressing the nation very shortly. Make sure you stay with us. This is News Talk Radio 710.